the implications for democracy? I mean, in Australia, we still require people to turn up and vote. Oh, I think they should have ID, of course, but that's not the current position. A lot of countries overseas, though, use machines. What about the impact of AI on distorting the vote?
Well, again, I thought the evidence that was given before the US Senate subcommittee earlier this week was really telling, because when the chief executive of OpenAI was asked about the risks, he said the number one thing that he's concerned about are the implications for democracy in the upcoming US election. And the real concern here is disinformation can be spread so quickly, so cheaply, and to so many people. And again, when we're starting to have to question what's real and what's not, the risk of misinformation and disinformation is significant. The risk of political bias is significant, and the risk of chatbots hallucinating is something that we've already seen. So I think there are very real risks, and it's something that we really do need to be aware of, talking about and acting on.
So what worries you the most?
There are a whole range of things, both that worry me, but also things that excite me about the technology. So I want to be very, very clear. I think there are enormous benefits as well as enormous risks, and we need to find a way to harness those benefits while protecting against the risks. But I think probably the number one risk for me is that in a democracy like Australia, we need to be very realistic about the fact that not every country in the world shares our views when it comes to the importance of democracy and the importance of human rights. And again, if I go back to the godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, what he said is we can't be sure that bad actors won't use these things for bad reasons or won't do bad things with the technology. So I think in Australia, we need to take a lead on responsible and ethical usage.
All right, well, just on that point, given you're inside the sort of the government framework, how do we do that? How do we get government to put a pause on this if they can, which was what Musk has said recently, put it on hold for 6 months, let us get the regulatory framework in place. We didn't do that with the internet. I used to work for Richard Alston when the internet came to Australia. He was a communications minister. He said, let's get a framework in place. Everyone called him a Luddite. We can see there's a lot of good with the internet, but we can also see there's a lot of harm, particularly to young people, the online exploitation of children and more. So how do we learn from what we've got wrong in the past and get it right here? And how much time we've all got? Because people say that the growth of AI, the sophistication is exponential, saying we haven't got a lot of time. How do we do it, Lorraine?
Well, you've raised a number of really important things. The first thing is time is not on our side with this. This is moving ahead so rapidly that we really do need to move quickly. But secondly, we need to learn from the mistakes we made with the internet and with social media, where 20 years on, we're trying to retrofit safety guardrails to protect against the harms that we didn't identify early on. And I think there are a few things we need to do. The first is government needs to think about law reform and regulation, but we do know that's a slow process. So in the meantime, we need to have businesses thinking about responsible and ethical usage, and we need to have individuals really starting to be aware of how they're using this technology and thinking about how they want to engage with it. So I think law reform is part of it, but that's too slow. We can't rely on that alone.
Lorraine, Finlay, I want to congratulate you for buying into this really important topic, because unless people like you are raising it, government's got a lot on its plate. These things aren't front of mind. So I think it was a really important contribution this week. Thank you for your time.